Thursday, 27th of May. Hello, good morning, and welcome to News Desk with me, Mama View Swabwaji. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, cut the pretense and paint the exact picture of frustrations and challenges hampering education in our schools. That's the charge from the Central Regional Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Teachers to heads of schools and directors of education across the country. We'll get to know more on the said challenges and how they're being addressed. Also, small-scale miners in the Ashanti region threaten to sue government over the banning of excavators in the fight against illegal mining. More from that press conference in the Ashanti region. And 28-year-old Gideon Ankuma Kusi jailed 40 years for attempting to rob and cause harm. Details from the Bono regional correspondent, Anas Sabit. We also have business and the latest in the world of sports. Stay with us. Thank you for being with us. Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers is asking heads of schools across the country, as well as district directors of education, to cut the pretense and paint the exact pictures and situations that exist in the country's schools. The association wants them to speak in order to put pressure on the managers of Ghana's education to act to save Ghana's education. Speaking at the 6th Quadrennial Delegate Conference of NAT at the Asin South districts, the association says the schools are like ticking time bombs waiting to explode if the situation is not addressed holistically. Here's Richard Kujinyako's report.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers says it's about time heads of the country's schools and directors of education began speaking for the true pictures of the schools in the country to be known. According to the association, the heads of schools and the district directors of education in the country have pretended for so long, and their silence and pretense may lead to the collapse of Ghana's education system. Central Regional Chairman of NAT, Dr. Isaac Owusu, says teachers and students continue to suffer in silence and bear the brunt of the mess that has been created. He wants such silences broken to pile pressure on the managers of the educational system to fix the problems.
It is not the duty of NAT to produce textbooks. It is not the duty of NAT to produce infrastructure, working materials. That is not our core mandate. But today, we have our leaders of this country telling us, yes, NAT do something, including our own members. When we have left the employer, staying somewhere. Teachers are sick and tired of the austerity measures being meted out to us. You see, we cannot continue remain silent when all of us here, including, it's unfortunate, our directors, are aware that all is not well. But we are pretending to presume that, oh, we shall overcome. All is not well. We have to admit, you see, if you have an education director who is not being given allowance, but at assembly, we have other equally head of departments that when it comes to, in terms of qualification, the education director is far ahead of those head of department. But they are enjoying allowances. But the director is not even getting a full. And we want to pretend. We cannot pretend. If the director is not getting allowance, how much more the CISO? If all is not well in GES, we are asking managers of education of this country that fix it, so that we'll all be free.
Asin South Chairman of NAT and a member of the National Council of NAT, Roxanne Boateng, says teachers are being treated unfairly as government has failed to upgrade those that have gone for further studies.
The key problem, in our view, has to do with upgrading for teachers. Teachers who have pursued their first degree after completing their diploma and they have gone for further studies, obtained their BEd certificates. Some have been told that they have to wait for 7 years before they are upgraded. In fact, we have over the years highlighted this issue over and over again. Reforms have been introduced and we need training on same. We expect that teachers are trained and all the necessary resources, textbooks, curriculum and all of that are provided for us so that we're able to deliver the expectation of the originators of that reforms. So for us, we'll be very happy if these issues are addressed.
Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Dora Francisca Edubuando, called on NAT to sit down with the employer to address the challenges militating against the sector.
There are many issues confronting teachers and the association now. I knew it before I came here, and the chairman also said it, that teachers who pursue further studies are not upgraded by Ghana Education Service promptly. I am tended to believe that that has been resolved, because I do not hear that song these days. But if it is the current situation after so many years, then it is worrisome.
The teachers want an immediate fixing of the challenges bedeviling the education sector to save it from further collapse. Richard Kwejenyako, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
And on the back of this, let's speak to Dr. Isaac Owusu. He's the Central Regional Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here on News Desk.
Good morning, Mama V.
Great. So first of all, how widespread are the challenges you speak of?
Yes, let me thank you and say a very good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. Yes, if you look at the challenges that are confronting us as teachers in the country, they are indeed widespread. You heard from the district chairman who was talking about the delay in upgrading of teachers by GES. This issue, teachers in the Central Region have lamented for so many years now. Teachers who had opportunity to do their own further studies with GES approved program at the various universities in the country, after completion, some as far back as 2014, to date, the employer has not been able to update them. And here we are, God willing, next year, come 2022, the first batch of the colleges of education now are coming out with first degree, which implies that those teachers are going to be seniors over the real seniors they are going to meet on the field. These are the challenges. Now, if you look at our seniors who completed their work and they are on retirement now, we start the implementation of the Act 677, the new Pension Act. Senate is supposed to give the state retirees past credit. And Mama V, it will shock you. The past credit of someone who started work from 86 to 2009, the 31st December, was 5,000 Ghana cedis. And there are a lot of challenges in terms of accommodation. We find ourselves in a very hard-to-reach area. You go, there is a classroom structure there, but where the teacher will lay his or her head is a problem. So that is why we are calling on the key stakeholders together with the employers that they should listen to the plight of the teachers.
So why do you think that the teachers themselves, the directors of education, those at the helm of affairs, why do you think they haven't been able to speak up?
Yes, that is a challenge that is confronting us as citizenry of this country. You see, we seem to be pretending because the headmaster feels that, oh, if I speak, either my superior will question me or will transfer me. The director feels that if I speak, I'm going to be warned. The teacher feels that if I speak, wahala. But we all know that there are challenges confronting us. So if people are unable to speak to the issue, it means we are not doing a good service to ourselves as a nation and then to ourselves as a profession. That is why we are encouraging our teachers, including the directors, because every director is a teacher. So where there are challenges, can we all come together as key stakeholders, identify the challenges, and try our best as to how we are going to solve the challenges? This is what we are calling for.
But thankfully, they have the association, so they can hide behind the National Association of Teachers, for instance, and make the challenges known. So now that you're familiar with what is confronting them and the sector essentially, have you brought it to the attention of the Ministry of Education or the Ghana Education Service?
The leadership of the teacher unions let me say, Nagrat City. We are in Central Region. We are not the apex in terms of the structures. We have a national leadership, national leadership, Nagrat, national leadership city. And we are much aware that all these concerns are before the table of the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service.
As a parent, I am concerned about how all this is impacting on my child. So how is that affecting learning and teaching?
Yes, if the teacher who is going to teach your ward or your child has completed university since 2014 and has submitted the certificate to the employer to upgrade the said teacher, and since 2014 to date, the teacher has not been upgraded, definitely you know that this teacher will not be of himself or herself. You see, if the teacher is finding it difficult to get a means of transportation to go to work, because where the teacher has been posted to is a very hard to reach area, there is no accommodation there. We know, and we've seen some of your documentary that where teachers are posted, and some have to even cry. And so these are the challenges that indirectly will affect the children that we are teaching.
Mm-hmm. So if we want to begin to resolve the issues, where would you say we should begin from? Because obviously we can't tackle all these challenges that you've outlined at the same time.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that I am happy the minister, Dr. Edukum, at our lunch, not at 90, he made mention that he has created a desk solely for the teacher unions. So we are expecting that desk to be functioning, and so that our leadership at Accra will also be giving us the feedback as where they have reached, so that our members at the grassroots will know that, yes, the unions are doing our best.
So to the parent who is worried, really, because if you're dealing with all these things that you talk about, then what are you passing on to them? Should we be worried?
No. You see, what we are supposed to do, of course, I'm also a parent, is that we should all come on board as stakeholders. Because, you see, once we are in a country, not all of us can send our children outside the country for education. So we need to make sure that our education system, if not 100% better, at least 50-60%, so that we'll be comfortable. Because, you see, the challenges that we are facing, and when head teachers speak or headmasters speak and people are attacking them, then if we also remain silent, then it means our children are going to suffer. We can keep quiet and just pretend that all is well. The children will pass through our hand. They will go and say, well, we have done well. But the quality at the end of the 3-year secondary education, at the end of the 3-year basic education, the quality, are we going to get the same? So that is why we are calling that at least the stakeholders, the leadership of the education in the country should quickly rally on board all those concerns and all those matters, so that we can have a roadmap that will help us taking the challenges one by one.
Well, thank you, sir, for not pretending and speaking up on this matter. We've made contact to a Deputy Director of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Kwabena Tando, who's promised to speak on this matter and more tomorrow. We will bring you that when it happens. Now, small-scale miners in the Ashanti region have threatened to sue the government over the banning of the excavators at mining sites. The miners say they will seek legal interpretation on the rights of the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to issue a directive for the destruction of equipment by private business without just cause. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Line of action. We are in preparation to institute an action for an interpretation of the Constitution at the highest court of the land to find out if a minister has the right to issue a directive for a private person's equipment to be destroyed without just cause. If the law allows that, we are in line to do that. And
former Ashanti Region Secretary of the Miners, Philip Bawa, also says the miners will petition Parliament to intervene.
And also, we would take measures to place an injunction against these activities if an action is not taken immediately to remedy the situation. So we are considering that. And also, we will be filing a petition before Parliament to intervene in the illegalities and arbitrariness that is going on in the country. Because you cannot unleash your military against your citizens for no just cause, because this is against a UN convention.
The small-scale miners allege there is selective justice in the fight against illegal mining and destruction of natural resources.
Because if he's protecting some people in the community, while we, the legitimate, are suffering, he knows the consequences. The consequences, any selective justice, there is consequences in selective justice. Why our chairman in Asinfosu, who is mining legally, on his concession, they have destroyed 4 excavators on that land, including other mining equipment. So what are we doing as Ghanaians? The government is pushing too hard, but we are pleading. Ghana, our culture doesn't permit us to do certain things, but he should stop pushing us.
So red zones need be say water bodies, any forest reserve. After by say, ana military amukwe say media excavators if you are near Asheno. A dear beer, you give one and tears here. You know, say, your man buying and penny 40 cents. San Yamana was 1 year. Yesterano, Dauroma, Omunjai.
The association insists members are legally authorized and contends their operation do not violate mining law, neither are they destroying water bodies and the environment. They want the government to find better ways of addressing the situation than using them as scapegoats.
To come out and explain to us the difference between the red zones and the other areas, because we Amansewers here, we have some areas, especially we have reserve forest areas that our Chinese people are working. Their machines are not burned, but someone has packed his machine in the house. They will come and burn the machine. Why?
So it is the Minerals Commission who can come to our site, inspect. If we are not complying with the rules and regulations governing the license, they can revoke it or caution us. As to rectify the anomalies, not the military. Dominic Nitwo, the Honorable Minister for Defense, is speaking outside his jurisdiction and acting sane. We want to go by the Minister of the Sector's statement that small-scale miners, legal ones, should mine, but mine responsibly. And that only Minerals Commission can inspect our site, no other task force, including the military.
The association intends to go back to their respective mining sites as they seek legal redress. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has urged all aggrieved persons to go to court on the matter. Take a listen.
I would want your indulgence to use the opportunity of this platform, so appropriate in so many ways, to comment on a current matter of considerable importance which has engaged the attention of the nation. It has to do with the battle against galamsey. I know there are some who believe that the ongoing exercise of ridding our water bodies and forest zones of harmful equipment and machinery is unlawful, and in some cases, harsh. I strongly disagree, and I would advise those who take a contrary view to go to court to vindicate their position if they so wish. That is what the rule of law is all about, which does not recognize social status, religious persuasion, political affiliation, ethnic origins, or regional adherence. Merely the law and precedent, the ancient common law doctrine of stare decisis. The Minerals and Mining Act, 2006, Act 703, is the vehicle through which a mineral license is acquired and thus confers mineral rights on the holder. Any person who, without a valid license, conveys any equipment onto a piece of land purportedly to conduct activities for the search, reconnaissance, prospecting, exploration, or mining for a mineral commits grievous crimes against the state. Indeed, a person in possession of a valid license but undertakes mining in water bodies or mines unlawfully in protected forest zones also commits an illegality. Apart from the criminal violations of Act 703, the activities of such persons desecrate our environment, pollute our water bodies, and endanger the lives of present and future generations of Ghanaians. They are monumental crimes which should not be condoned in any shape or form. The presence of shangfines in water bodies is illegal, as is the unlawful use of excavators in protected forest zones. The devastation caused by these equipment is nothing short of evil, and we should not compromise in our efforts to protect our environment, forest reserves, and water bodies. I say with all the emphasis at my command that no rights can accrue to or flow from the criminal venture of Galamsey. The equipment, which is being used for an illegal or criminal purpose, cannot confer on the owner or any other person any rights whatsoever. I appeal to all Ghanaians, including many in the opposition who are so doing, to rally behind government in its efforts to stamp out far-reaching illegality and criminality, rather than advocate for the protection of non-existent rights of persons caught in this evil activity.
And we continue to stay with issues on mining as part of efforts to effectively enforce the ban on illegal mining across the country. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister has announced the decentralization of its enforcement regimes. Samuel Abdullahi Janapo says the various regional security councils have been tasked to lead the enforcement of Operation Halt. Government has waged war against illegal mining, especially in forest reserves and water bodies. A number of mining equipment have been burned to eradicate the canker. Addressing the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs as part of his tour to the region, he mentioned that the government has decided to involve chiefs in the issuance of mining licenses and permits.
In many cases, the effort the central government makes, regional ministers, district chief executives, and along yourselves tend not to be aware or involved in the work of the central government. And so we have decided to decentralize our efforts, particularly as it relates to the enforcement regime. And therefore, the various regional security councils are now charged to be at the forefront of the enforcement regime. And the fifth one, is also that since I became minister, we took note of the situation where Nananom are not involved at all, in many cases in a limited way, in the licensing regime, the permitting regime. So the traditional ruler is in his jurisdiction, and all years that somebody has been given a license or a permit to mine, he's not aware. So we are taking steps to reform the licensing and or permitting regime to ensure that Nananom are actively involved.
Eastern Regional House of Chiefs President Nene Sakite appealed to the minister to ensure that Parliament passes the bill that gives chiefs the authority to summon their subjects before them. The chief's call came after the minister made a passionate appeal to the chiefs to support the fight against illegal mining.
We wholeheartedly accept this partnership. But I want to seize Honorable Minister is also a parliamentarian I just want to remind him of a bill which has been in Parliament for years, which takes away our authority to summon our subjects when we need them.
Away from issues related to illegal mining, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, has denounced the practice where lawyers unduly use the media to denigrate others publicly. According to him, the situation that sees legal practitioners running each other down over what he described as cheap publicity leaves much to be desired, and what could be seen as a response to the latest epistle by former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu, in which he described Mr. Dame as lacking experience for the role. The Attorney General says practitioners must desist from using dishonorable conduct, such as disseminating untruths that fly in the face of professionalism as far as the bar is concerned. He was speaking at a sword-cutting ceremony for the construction of a new law village for the Ghana School of Law.
I will take this opportunity to denounce the tendency of lawyers, sometimes even senior lawyers, some of whom have occupied high offices of state and have been leaders of the bar, to deploy social and traditional media to unjustifiably assail the integrity and reputation of senior figures in this country. Such conduct is dishonorable and occasions a breach of the rules of professional conduct and etiquette at the bar. The spread of false information by lawyers and disregard for the cherished values of the legal profession, apart from being disreputable, poses a far greater threat to cohesion in society, especially when it comes from senior lawyers. The misguided crave for cheap publicity and undue disparagement of others must be avoided. The nation ought to be concerned because ultimately, a dishonest bar, it is said, breeds a corrupt bench and affects the core of the society we seek to build.
Well, the Ghana School of Law, established in 1958 with 97 students, now has over 2,000 students, yet the facility has seen no expansion, forcing the current management of the school to run a triple-track system in order to accommodate the student population. The $55 million law village, when completed, will boast of several lecture halls with the capacity to seat 5,000 students, conference rooms, moot court, and others. But Director of the school, Maxwell Opokwajiman, warns admitting new students for the 2021 academic year may be a challenge if the project delays.
We hope and pray that we as management will constantly pay visits to this place to ensure that whatever happens, we are able to admit fresh students this place by November as promised. Your Excellency, this project is essential in the sense that the law school currently runs a triple-track system where almost all our facilities are choked after admitting over 1,000 students the last academic year. Without the completion of this project, it will be very difficult to admit fresh students to start the new academic year. It is therefore imperative and our hope that even though the management has promised to use its RGF, I don't think it's out of place to ask His Excellency to use his good offices to come to the aid of the school and assist us in whatever way it can. We know that when you promise, you deliver.
President Akufo-Addo reiterated his commitment to ensure access to legal education and urged students to be guided by honesty and integrity in all their dealings as lawyers.
I've been reliably informed that some 1,000 students were admitted during the 2020-21 academic year, a development which led to the acting director and management of the school taking a cue from the double-track system initiated in our senior high schools to introduce a triple-track system. With the 2021-2022 academic year fast approaching, the school is again faced with limited and overstretched facilities. Hence the added
for the students who sacrificed to.
The entire Law Village project will cost some $55 million United States dollars, with phase 1 complementing the facilities of the Accra main campus located in Mokola at a cost of some $4 million. Once completed, the Law Village will boast of an additional seating capacity of 1,500 seats, a number of lecture halls, a well-resourced library, residential facilities, offices, amongst others. It is my expectation that the completion of the Law Village project will expand access to legal education without compromising on its quality, and ultimately assisting the administration of justice.
To the Honorable Attorney General and Minister.
As many more lawyers are trained, it is my hope that indeed many more of them will join the public sector to enhance the quality of legal service delivery in the sector. I assure all of you that this project is the beginning of greater things to come for the Ghana School of Law. Government's commitment to leaving a lasting legacy in professional legal education in Ghana is absolute. I'm hopeful that once completed, we will reconvene at this venue by the grace of God to commission this project. And I promise, acting director of the school, that I will do my best to assist in the speedy conclusion of this project.
Elsewhere, the Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by Justice Alexander Graham, has sentenced a 28-year-old Gideon Ankomakusi to a jail term of 40 years imprisonment on 2 counts. One is an attempt to commit robbery, and the second one is causing harm. The convict, a native of Tun Swase No. 2, a suburb of Techiman in the Bono East region, attacked a complainant, Dora Yeboah, in her house on Sunday, May 23, and injured her in the process. She was, however, saved by the timely intervention of the people in the community after her daughter raised an alarm. My colleague Anas Sabit has more in the following report.
Over the past few weeks, the rate at which armed robbery cases are being recorded in the Bono East region is quite alarming. The recent murder of a Muslim cleric in the Pro East area, and then also a military officer who has been killed by suspected armed robbers last week, is still fresh in the minds of many. Today, at the Techiman Circuit Court, as a recent robbery case which occurred over the weekend on Sunday, May 23rd, and the accused has been convicted to 30 years imprisonment. Chief Inspector C.Y. Seteglo is the prosecuting officer in charge of this case. He's been telling us what transpired between the accused and the victim.
It's a case of robbery reported against the accused person. The story is that the accused person went to the complainant's house on 23rd day of May 2021 in the night, armed with pistol and some other objects. He attacked the complainant, and the complainant resisted in the process. So the accused person injured the complainant. In fact, the complainant struggled with the accused person in order not to take anything away, and shouted for help. When the accused person saw that those around were coming to the rescue of the complainant, he fled the scene. However, he was given a chance and was eventually arrested. After investigation, he was actually charged with robbery and causing harm. He came to the court and pleaded guilty simpliciter to both charges. He was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment for the first count, which is the robbery, and 10 years for the causing harm.
Chief Inspector C.Y. Setoglo says the accused, who is now a convict, is already standing trial on a different case before his recent arrest.
The accused person is in another case here in this court, and that case was started by the Attorney General based in Sunyani, but because of the distance and other things, it was handed over to me to continue. The accused person was granted bail, and he went and committed this recent offense.
Speaking with the complainant, Dora Yeboah, and she tells us what transpired, how the accused got to her house and then attacked her with a gun in his hand in an attempt to kill her and take away her properties. At about 7 p.m. Sunday, I was cooking when my daughter screamed, and when I raised my head, I saw a man dressed in a military uniform with a mask and a pistol in his hand. Then I screamed and asked him what he wants, and he said he's here to kill me. Then I asked what I did wrong, and he replied that he's gonna kill me. Then I noticed he's about pulling the trigger. That was when I mustered courage to face it off with him. And in the process, we both fell down to the ground and the pistol fell off. We struggled on the floor for some time whilst he kept hitting me. But I was determined not to let him go because he will pick the pistol and shoot me in the process. All of a sudden, I realized he had used a sharp object to attack me on the face. That was when I realized my child has raised alarm and the people came to my rescue. He bolted away, and all I saw was that I was rushed to the hospital. Dora Yeboah, however, has an appeal to authorities. She's calling on the security agencies to intensify its patrols across all parts of the municipality in order to bring to the barest minimum the rate at which armed robbery cases are being recorded in this part of the country.
Yes, Rabban said, security no and no so
we are pleading to the government to increase the number of security personnel in town to protect us because the robbery incidents in the area is quite alarming. That's all we ask from authorities. Chief Inspector C.Y. Setoglo is of a marked conviction that such sentences is deterring enough to deter others who are also into the robbery business to stay away from the act. He says people who are brought to this court on robbery cases, when found guilty, will be dealt with severely.
Yes, robbery is at the high side now, and we are doing everything possible to ensure that it comes down. So when you are arrested, you come to this court, be sure of getting 20 and plus. And so I will advise my brothers there not to venture into that enterprise because it's not going to help them.
From the Techiman Circuit Court, my name is Anasabit reporting for JoyNews.
Remain in the region, but this time we're talking about the medical laboratory scientists who are striking. at Confronting Teaching Hospital. It looks like it's been extended now, and other facilities are also joining in solidarity with their team at Confronting Teaching Hospital. This time it's at the Abrefi Women and Children's Hospital in the Techiman municipality. And Nasabit, our correspondent, joins us with more on this. Anas, tell us how this is impacting on healthcare delivery.
Yes, Mama B, usually almost all medical services rendered at most of the health facilities comes with laboratory services. Either you do test A or test B. Now, this medical laboratory scientists here, like rightly said, supporting their colleagues at the Confronting Teaching Hospital with that particular strike. And 2 days ago, we visited some facilities and they declared their readiness to lay down their tools if the issue is not resolved by today. So this morning, we rushed to the Abrefi Women's and Children's Hospital to ascertain whether that particular warning they gave out earlier there is being in effect. And when we got here, the offices of the medical laboratory scientists remain closed since morning. And my checks revealed that they are in a closed-door meeting to know whether actually they are withdrawing all their services from today onwards. I have been able to speak with some of the administrators or those at the helm of affairs at the hospital, and I'm told since morning they've directed that all lab checks or tests should be done outside since the offices remain closed. And this is affecting healthcare because something that could have been done within the facility would now have to travel outside the facility to be done, and so there's delay in healthcare delivery in this hospital.
Okay, so Anas, let's clear this up. Is it the lab technicians who are not working, or the entire hospital has been shut down?
The hospital is operating. It is the lab scientists who are off or who have closed their offices in solidarity with what their colleagues at the Confronting Teaching Hospital are embarking on the strike we know about. So the hospital is operating, but it is the lab unit that is out of service since morning.
Okay. I also understand that the regional branch of the lab scientists are also meeting.
That's the same meeting I'm being told this staff of the hospital are also part of. So until the meeting ends, we don't know if the entire region, similar exercise is happening at other parts of the region. So we are waiting keenly as and when the meeting ends to speak with the leadership at the regional level to know what the final decision is taken in relation to this particular strike. Okay, so Anas, are they striking or they're absent because of a meeting? They have not rendered services all day. And I can say they are striking because they've already issued a statement earlier that by the close of yesterday, they will not be rendering services to patients if the issue is not resolved. And so this morning, obviously, from that threat or warning they gave out 2 days ago, they are out of service. Until the meeting is over, we'll know the outcome of the decision they are taking in relation to that. Just quickly, Anas, how big is this facility? In fact, this is the only government facility, health facility in the Techiman municipality, which is the regional capital. We have the Holy Family Hospital, which is under Chak. We have the Ahmadiyya Muslim Hospital. But this is the only, the biggest government facility in the municipality. And so it attends to mostly women and children within the municipality and beyond. So it's quite integral in health services within this area. And as we'll leave it here, there will be more in the midday news. We have to take a breather and bring you business with Daryl Kwao right after this.
All right, time for business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Ghana's total debt stock could soon hit fresh levels that will be a threat to the economy. This is because government intends issuing a $1 billion sustainable bond from July this year. George Rafe has more.
The fundraising exercise is part of the initial approval secured from Parliament
in the 2021 budget to raise up to $5 billion in Eurobonds, sustainable and green bonds. In April this year, government managed to raise a little over $3 billion in Eurobonds. It later disclosed that it plans raising the remaining $2 billion soon, subject to favorable market conditions. In an interview with the Bloomberg News, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Dubois, disclosed that proceeds from this $1 billion sustainable bonds will be used to finance social and environmental projects like the Free SHS program. But although this might come across as good news, others are looking at the impact on Ghana's total debt stock. This is because of the recent warning from the IMF and the World Bank that it could reach levels the government may struggle to pay its debts back on time. There are fears that the country could fall into a debt distress category soon. This could increase the cost of borrowing for government itself, but the Ministry of Finance, on the other hand, insists its debt refinancing strategy would help reduce the debt stock to manageable levels very soon. The Bank of Ghana puts Ghana's total debt stock at 291 billion Ghana cedis as at the end of December 2020. But some say this might cross the 300 billion mark even for the first quarter of this year. According to World Bank President David Malpass, he is worried about the impact of these borrowings on future generations who may have to take care of these debts.
Now, Ghana is the most attractive market in sub-Saharan Africa for investors in the power sector. That's according to Fitch Solutions Power Risk and World Index. Charles Nixon has details.
This is coming at a time whereby the nation is grappling with power fluctuation, whilst its energy sector debt has gone past $5 billion. According to the research arm of ratings agency Fitch, the country's score of about 85%, which places it first in sub-Saharan Africa, signify low levels of risk private investors face whilst entering the market. This also points to a secure return on investment for private sector players. Additionally, the population has affordable electricity, whereas there is continued growth in sustainable power sector development. Importantly, the electricity penetration rate in the country is estimated at about 84%, positioning it as number one in West Africa. Fitch Solutions expect markets such as Ghana, where governments prioritize cooperation with the private sector through measures such as public-private partnerships, to see the highest level of investment in sustainable electricity generation sources such as non-hydropower renewables over the coming decade. Kenya is ranked second behind Ghana, whilst Cameroon, South Africa, Namibia, and Uganda follow suit in third, fourth, fifth, and sixth respectively as other markets attractive to investors in the power sector in the sub-Saharan Africa region.
All right, there's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com. You can read about the government's plans to issue $1 billion sustainable bonds coming July. But up next will be a painful part for you if you're a Man U fan. Sports with George Addo Jr.
And Manchester United lost the Europa League final yesterday. There are reactions to that. And then Zidane has also resigned from Real Madrid. That's George Addo Jr. Was it a painful loss yesterday?
Yeah, I think it was a painful loss. Manchester United fans felt that against Villarreal, they were the better side. I mean, they were favourites, clearly. They had the Arsenal to beat them. And if you watch the game closely, you realise that it was about when Manchester United wanted to score a goal rather than Villarreal. Villarreal had to manage the game, but it looked like they had a manager who understood the terrain. He's handled 94 games in the Europa League. That is 33 more than any other coach in the Europa competition. This is his fourth win. And so Unai Emery definitely used the experience over Manchester United, and that's where it all came. So a bit sad about that. But let me touch on the European managerial game of chess. Zidane has indicated he's leaving Real Madrid. He's not going to continue. So Antonio Conte as well has indicated he's not going to continue with Inter Milan. Christophe Galtier, the man who won the trophy, the French Ligue 1 trophy for Lille, has also indicated that he's leaving his job. And we know that Allegri is the man going to be taking charge of Juventus. And it's really interesting with the way things are panning out. So now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has lost, there are good men ready for his job. So let's talk about the Manchester United game.
Yeah.
Now proper, the Europa League. Tell me about how your son went through it. What happened?
So I have a 9-year-old who is a Manchester United diehard.
Oh.
When the Manchester United was 1 goal down,
Yes.
he decided to sleep early, just hoping that that would be the good luck for Manchester United to come back. They did come back though.
Now, so apparently when he watches the game, Manchester United can win.
Oh yeah.
Ole will be knocked out in the semi-finals or the finals. Ole has been knocked out of all these competitions. And yesterday he gave him the final chance.
Yeah, but I don't know, but I think he's monitored for a while. He realized that when he's awake, when he watches the game live, they lose. So he decided to
sleep yesterday.
Let me sleep. And there will be a miracle once I wake up in the morning. Unfortunately,
when he woke up,
debacle.
Debacle.
And there are lots of people who stayed out in town late just so they can catch up. Was it surprising though that they had to go through extra time?
Yeah,
through the
it's surprising that
penalties?
they did, but it was tight. It was tight, and penalty shootout. It came down to, they had to do what they did. I've got a few pictures I want us to go through to help it. Now let's start with a man who is now called Mr. Europa, because we have renamed or rechristened the Europa League to the Unai Emery League. So we are trying to speak to UEFA to change this one. You see, this one is UEFA Europa League. And now we want to make it Unai Emery League because he's the man who has won it 4 times. That's the first one. Yesterday, while the game was ongoing, that's Unai Emery for you. He's won it 4 times. While the game was ongoing, Evans Mensah, who is a Manchester United fan, was in the studio watching with us. Just look at Evans Mensah when Manchester United lost. Look at Evans Mensah. Evans Mensah was in serious trouble yesterday. He just could not believe. By God's grace, we had the cameras to capture him, and that's the picture for you. He was bragging at JoyNews night. He was bragging that Manchester United were going to win.
I think that's the issue. They should have just shut
Yes, now look at the man. Look at the man there. Well, that is Evans Mensah for you. And, apparently we hear that Bruno Fernandes was not happy. Because he would have preferred that he was given the chance to hit all the penalties. And they just allowed him to take one. Bruno Fernandes, penalties all the way, no penalties this time. Bruno Fernandes was such a happy guy.
I don't know how you interpret that.
But of course, he just said that it's not my fault, what do I do? And so we are now looking forward to the UEFA Champions League final between Chelsea and Manchester City.
Would it be anything like what we saw last night?
We can't tell, but once again, Manchester City are the favourites and Chelsea are the underdogs. We saw the underdogs win yesterday.
No, we did not, because yesterday you didn't stick your neck out clearly, George Adeji. I remember that, but we know that Manchester City is
now people are positioning. So we have the UEFA Champions League quiz for you as well. There's a special one. UEFA Champions League quiz, a fun quiz. We had some comedians joining us, some musicians and all. We'll get to watch that as the week just goes over. So on Friday and on Saturday you get to watch it, and we are preparing for Hits FM Rep with Jesse as well.
All right, George Adeji with sports. We've got plenty though. Just log on to myjoyonline.com where we have a lot of news. You can get some more sports news as well. My name is Mama Viu Sabwaje. Thank you for your company here on the desk.